Now, from a boom post-COVID to a lull, that is how the IT sector has moved. Was it extraordinary surge because of work from home, or this is reality which we need to accept because of AI? The bottom line here is that for the first time, as far as I can recall, the three major companies, the full year headcount has actually seen a decline. It's seen a decline, which means the total manpower at the beginning of the year versus now for Infosys has declined for the first time in 23 years. For TCS, on a base of 6.5 lakh, it has declined by 13,000, not an alarming number. And for Wipro, it is down 25,000. Are they losing jobs to AI? Or this is the new normal where productivity gains have been so strong that they are losing, the new jobs are not getting created. See, one clear fact is that if the business was under stress, then margins would have gone really topsy-turvy. TCS margins were not bad, Infosys margins were not bad, and Wipro margins were not that bad. So is it productivity gain which is at play? And are we in for a major rehaul? The rehaul could be because of engineering, coding, what campuses are teaching, or what the requirement of the future is. What is the reason? Let's take that conversation forward. Rituparna Chakraborty joins us. Ritu, good morning. Thank you for joining us. What is the story? I have always reported a sector like IT which only hires and hires. Now they are not hiring.
Yeah, I think it's, we've gotten so used to the technology sector being a net employment generator for the company that it seems, on the face of it, disappointing, shocking to some extent. But I think the nature of this business or the path that technology worldwide is pursuing, in any case, it is about getting a job done faster, sooner, better, with higher accuracy. And if you understand the underlying ambition worldwide, that essentially means that there is a certain amount of threat to the type of jobs that we earlier associated the technology industry with. Quite a few of the skill sets, quite a few of the jobs that essentially cater to the volumes in this industry are now being done through different kinds of automation tools. So this is essentially a fact of life that we do have to embrace. So even if this situation gets a little better, is not probably as disappointing as it's made to sound, I don't think you will ever find a scenario or a situation where these companies will become again or come back to the way they used to hire ever. So this is essentially how the world is moving. Artificial intelligence, automation, robotics will get into every aspect of our lives and the way we do things, even in our workplaces. But having said that, that doesn't essentially mean that jobs all are going away. What it essentially means is it's a call to action for all of us that the kind of skill sets that we're empowering our youth with definitely needs to be changed, which means there will be demand for higher skill sets. So the skill sets that currently essentially with which we are able to find jobs or kids are able to find jobs, that's not how it's going to be for our youth for the next 5 years or the decade that we are seeing. So I think the sooner we prepare ourselves for this inevitable outcome, the better it is. Now, IT companies obviously see this or are able to see this much better than any one of us are, and hence you're seeing what you're seeing right now. So the way I look at it, eventually the typical job roles of coders, programmers, all of it can now be done. I mean, the phenomenal work that we're seeing being done through some of the artificial intelligence tools that are being developed are already available in the market. I mean, those jobs will definitely go away. But then the world essentially, eventually, I've been talking to a lot of people in this sector, the world eventually will be divided into those who create these amazing tools, which we've never thought about before, and those who are able to operate these tools. So these are essentially the two skill sets that eventually, from a very broad perspective, I can tell is what's going to be the future. And that's how the organization structure of most of the IT services companies are also likely to change. So this trend where these organizations are either not hiring or reducing headcount is a fact of life now and is likely to continue for a few quarters or into the future.
That the basic skill set itself needs to change, right? Because, I mean, we were just looking at some of the employment data, and I believe IITians are now earning just about 5 to 10 lakh rupees. So clearly it seems like, the job market itself for a particular skill set, which is, this tech lot, is also sort of diminishing.
Couldn't agree more with you. Essentially, what has happened is the skill set. I mean, we made an hypothesis. Most of these institutes, colleges made a hypothesis about, and most of them probably did not see this coming. And hence, the curriculum, the skill sets that were being developed were essentially probably in demand 5 years back, 3 years back even, but not anymore. And hence, the world where you needed a large number of these people coming out of engineering colleges, whether it's a IIT or otherwise, to kind of do that job for which you actually needed humans, those jobs honestly are diminishing or are going away, which means that we really need to rethink in terms of what is the skill set that this future generation or then the batches which are coming out into the future needs to be skilled with. And like I said, the world will get divided between those who create these tools and those who operate these tools. Somewhere, even I'm for a minute not undermining the ability of an engineer, but the volumes essentially which we thought were required in terms of the engineering skill set. I mean, some of these jobs actually doesn't need an engineering skill set anymore. Of course, there are a lot of other skill sets that are required to be able to do these jobs. So I think somewhere there has to be a very overarching rethink of the entire skill landscape, and no better place than India, to be honest. So we have to apply our brains. We cannot lament or have nostalgia anymore. We just need to get ourselves ready for the future and what the future holds for us. So,
right.
And get on with it.
So I'll ask you a real life situation. I have a nephew and he is aspiring to be an engineer, and I know that he's very good with coding. He came for some career advice and I said, I don't know. I'll ask somebody who knows better. So what should be the career advice? I mean, don't focus on computer engineering, coding is dead, or do something which will add to your coding plus skill.
I think broad basing of skill sets in the umbrellas that we were earlier used to of engineering, or somebody being a commerce graduate and so on and so forth. I think somewhere we have to now become much more granular. So coding as a skill set, I'm sure your nephew already knows that it's you don't right now need to yourself do. There are so many tools and automated templates which are already available, through which pretty much anyone, honestly, you and me also can get certain codes done and get an app alive or kicking and so on and so forth. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that it's time for him, especially the future generations, to kind of get used to the fact that there is something called artificial intelligence. It has various real life applications. Either I become somebody who is imaginative enough to use some of the open source platforms or some of the platforms which are already available to create these tools for efficiency, for different, to solve real life problems or problems that organizations are having, or they become masters in using these products. So, it's not really just a phrase which is getting popular. It's the fact that artificial intelligence won't take jobs. Someone who knows how to use artificial intelligence is the one who's threatening our jobs. So I think my advice to your nephew is that focus on granular skill sets that he needs to develop, and then make a career choice. And if he thinks that he can do it through pursuing a path of engineering, so be it. But just the umbrella of engineering is no more sufficient for anyone to do well and to succeed. It's the being able to pick these newer skill sets and either be on the side of those who create or those who are extremely good at operating and getting the best out of them. So I think that's how I would advise.
The trend, I mean, which has just been so surprising because it's such a narrative change from, COVID, which was not too long back, is this entire work from home or rather work from office-based incentives or payouts.
I'm so sorry. I'll have to ask you to repeat that question because I think I missed the first 10 seconds or of your question.
Sure. No, I was just talking about some of these major IT companies now announcing work from office-based incentives and payouts, right? Much unlike the narrative that they had about 4 years back, 3 years back, and so on, when 70% of their work staff was working from home, and they thought that that's the new reality.
Yeah, I know. I think we were jumping. We reacted way too soon during COVID in terms of how enterprises will evolve. I think it was like we were all essentially in a state of awe, or how do I say? I mean, we were really shocked by the fact that how the world quickly could change into a remote working mode, and the fact that there was this huge spike in adoption of digital technology. There was also a huge improvement in productivity, and which is a huge temptation, right? To be able to then say that, I mean, it essentially means that, I mean, it essentially indicated that this is probably how it's going to be. But finally, we have to realize, and I kind of echo with what the TCS head of HR just now said, that, finally it's about the social capital. It's about the fact that the more you're going to work from outside of office, you're depleting your social capital, your ability to kind of, I call it feeding off each other as employees within the organization, learning from each other. All of that are very important aspects of survival and growth of an organization. And hence, many organizations are increasingly understanding that, this complete makeover of trying to work away from office may not really be the course. And hence, I guess you're seeing the emerging trend of trying to get employees back. Yes, of course, it's a difficult transition because employees had made arrangements. Many people had relocated and so on and so forth. But I guess it's a matter of time. I have a feeling that while organizations will continue to be equipped to be able to work, in this hybrid manner, but I think they would encourage employees. And if incentives and variables, I mean, it's unthinkable 5 years back that you're getting additionally paid to come back to work from office because that's how life was. But yeah, if that's what's needed to kind of get them to do it, so be it.
Okay, so it looks like AI skills are non-negotiable, but it's interesting as well as we're looking at the overall trends for hiring. Rituparna, it's been great chatting with you. Thanks so much for joining in.
Thank you.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.